As an actor and someone from an underserved community, I've made it my personal mission to use my platform to bring some real change to the criminal justice system. Tonight, we look squarely at the impact of mass incarceration and the death penalty on real people. Here's ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
I'm biased about him because he's my oldest son, my firstborn son. He was my first defender. We actually got to Mercury before the paramedics got there. We just had a couple of words with each other and the paramedics came. Early that morning, Dick told us that he didn't make it. I went back to see him. He was still warm. And there was a little tear coming from his eye, I remember that. And yeah.
There was only 3 of us that grew up in our household. It was my older brother and my older sister, and I'm the baby. He's my big brother and my only brother.
I think about all the different things that I could have done, or if I should have done this, or if I should have done that. Would he still be here?
In my life, never thought about anything other than getting up every morning and enjoying life. My mom brought us up to respect everybody. Here I am 36 years later. Who won? I didn't win. The victim family didn't win. Who won? My body went to death row, but my mind never did.
The death penalty in this country isn't a topic that can be resolved by asking whether people deserve to die for the crimes they've committed. I think the threshold question is, do we deserve to kill?
On June 17, 2004, police raided a suspected drug house near Birmingham, Alabama. Nathaniel Woods was surrendering when his cousin, Kerry Spencer, opened fire on police, killing 3 officers. Woods was arrested along with Spencer and charged as an accomplice. Prosecutors argued that Woods lured the officers in to be gunned down, but Spencer claims Woods played no role in the shooting.
Your brother did not pull the trigger.
He didn't have any gun on him. He didn't shoot anybody. I mean, what did you arrest him for? He ran just like anybody else would. He ran for his life, and they charged him with the actual murders.
Did he have a sense that the system would work for him?
He actually thought that the system would work because he didn't do anything wrong. So he had no reason to believe that he could ever be convicted of it, that he could ever be executed.
The judge, you remember what he said?
Yeah. And they sentenced him to death.
It was probably the hottest day in July that I could ever remember. My mother was in there making some lemonade. I went in to get a glass. And she said, well, you got time to go cut that grass. 25 minutes into cutting the grass. I just happened to look up, and there stood 2 white gentlemen I'd never seen before. And one of them said, we're looking for Anthony Ray Hinton.
On July 31, 1985, Anthony Ray Hinton was accused of the homicide of 2 restaurant owners in Birmingham. The main evidence against him was his mother's old Smith & Wesson revolver, which the state claimed matched the bullets at the crime scene.
I said, oh, you got the wrong person. I said, oh, I haven't done any of that. He looked at me like he had no use for me at all. And he said, number 1, a white man is gonna say you shot him. Whether you shot him or not, I don't care. He said, number 2, you're gonna have a white prosecutor. Number 3, you're gonna have a white judge. Number 4, you're gonna have an all-white jury. And we got a gun that we're gonna say, it's the murder weapon. He said, and do you know what that spells? And he repeated the word conviction, 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 conviction 5 times.
Miss Greer's son, Mercury, was 21 years old when he was shot and killed in 1999. The alleged shooter had a felony conviction on his record and now faced a capital murder charge.
When I saw another young black man standing there who happened to be the young man that had killed my son, what was my asking for him to get life or death penalty gonna do? Knowing that the justice system was already against him and my son, I didn't want to help that system. It doesn't need any help. Like I told the judge, whatever you do today, judge, It's not gonna bring mercury back.
We are haunted by a 400-year curse that was created when we embraced these narratives of racial difference, these ideologies of racial hierarchy and white supremacy. And the death penalty was a response to the inability to continue lynching people with impunity.
You call it a what?
A stepchild of lynching, absolutely.
Anthony Ray Hinton could not afford an attorney, and one was assigned to him by the court. That detective proved prophetic, and Mr. Hinton faced a white judge, a white prosecutor, and an all-white jury. He was convicted and sent to death row.
Death row, first and foremost, is pure hell. Somebody is hollering all night, all day. You smell the flesh of another human being that they just killed. My cell was 30 yards away from the execution chamber. I had to try and keep the smell of fresh cut grass in my mind for as long as I could, because that's the last thing I smelled of the free world.
And in your quietest moments, when it's just you and you're thinking of him, what do you think?
I think, what if I had fought a little harder? What if I had set up in the courtroom at that litigation and said something to the judge? Would he still be here? He has kids that lost their mom to cancer, and now you took their dad?
If you presume someone dangerous and guilty because of their color, then it's going to be a lot easier to convict them. You know, the Supreme Court had an opportunity to strike down the death penalty in 1987 after it had been presented with really compelling evidence about racial disparities. And it was disappointing to read that decision. The court said a certain quantum of discrimination, a certain amount of racial bias in the administration of the death penalty, it's just, well, inevitable.
After 13 years on death row, Mr. Hinton's case was taken on by attorney Brian Stevenson. 3 ballistics experts established that the bullets from the old revolver did not match the bullets from the crime scene. But the state of Alabama refused to look at the evidence for another 12 years. After the U.S. Supreme Court intervened, Mr. Hinton was exonerated.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
So, still brings back emotions.
I had always made my mom a promise that we would be together again. And my mom just couldn't hold on any longer. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. This is a system that most people will have you to believe is broke. The system is not broke. The system will run exactly the way it was designed to win.
When George Floyd, the video came out, it's like we were there witnessing it in real time. What was your reaction when you saw it?
Couldn't barely look at it. It was a new form of lynching.
When you believe capital punishment is?
I often say they brought the trees from the outside and brought it on the inside.
I do not support the death penalty. I would say to people that say an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life is a way of closure. I look at closure totally a different way. I want healing. I want healing. Of course, the young man had to do some time for killing my son. Of course, there was a penalty for that. His life, no.
You're choosing who you want to die. You're killing people whether you know they're innocent or not. Once you find out that they are innocent, you can't bring them back.
If we have a criminal justice system that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent, that tolerates the kind of error that our system has produced, if we have a criminal justice system that is allowed this kind of racial bias that we've seen over and over, we do not deserve to kill. And that's the question that I think states have to grapple with before they allow another person to be executed.
Soul building, and my soul has got to move. My soul has got to move. My soul has got to move. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.